Today we are gathered to celebrate the graduation of the Senior Leader Course Class 25-004. For the past 3 weeks, these NCOs have put into practice leadership skills such as counseling, mentoring, Army writing, critical thinking, along with problem solving to give them the critical foundational education for effective leadership as an enlisted senior leader in the Army National Guard and the Recruiting and Retention Battalions. The guest speaker for today's ceremony is Sergeant Major Jessica Dickerson. Sergeant Major Jessica Dickerson enlisted into the Connecticut Army National Guard as a trombone player in 2000. Following her enlistment, she attended basic combat training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, followed by Army Band familiarization training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Sergeant Major Dickerson began her full-time military career with the Connecticut Army National Guard as an operations assistant with the Recruiting and Retention Command before mobilizing in support of SFOR 10 soldiers and family members assigned to Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 102nd Infantry Regiment. She additionally served in various roles, including as a unit administrator and family program specialist at the Soldier and Airman Support Center. In 2008, Sergeant Major Dickerson transferred to the Virginia Army National Guard, where she has since served in both the 29th Infantry Division Band and the Recruiting and Retention Battalion. Her assignments within recruiting and retention include on-campus recruiter, simultaneous membership program training NCO, recruit sustainment program NCO, section chief, first sergeant, operations NCOIC. She is currently assigned as the Virginia Army National Guard Recruiting and Retention Battalion Command Sergeant Major. Sergeant Major Dickerson's military education includes the Total Army Instructor Trainer course, Small Group Instructor Training course, Sling Load Inspector course, Basic Airborne course, Army National Guard Recruiting and Retention course, 79 Tango Conversion course, and all levels of the non-commissioned officers education system, to include the United States Army Sergeant Major course. She holds a bachelor's degree from Central Connecticut State University and a certificate in leadership and workforce development from the United States Army Command and General Staff College. Her military awards and decorations include the Meritorious Service Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, Army Commendation Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, Army Achievement Medal with 4 oak leaf clusters, Army Good Conduct Medal with 4 bronze loops, Army Reserve Component Achievement Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, National Defense Service Medal, Armed Forces Service Medal, Armed Forces Reserve Medal with silver hourglass, Non-Commissioned Officer Professional Development Ribbon with numeral 5, Army Service Medal, Connecticut Emergency Service Ribbon, Virginia National Guard Service Ribbon with 4 dogwood blossoms, Parachutist Badge, and the Army National Guard Expert Recruiting Badge, Expert 7. Sergeant Major Dickerson lives in Radford, Virginia with her husband Edward and son Grant. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Major Dickerson.
Thank you. Good morning again. Colonel Calderon, Sergeant Major McCain, Colonel Ferguson, Sergeant Major Fasseth, distinguished guests, family, friends, graduates. It is such an honor to be with you here today. Thank you for this opportunity to share a few words with you. Wisdom, maybe we'll say we'll decide that later, whether they're words of wisdom. I want you to think back to when you were a new recruiter and you were so excited about the Guard that you wanted to tell every single person, every single thing that you knew, all about it. If you told everybody everything as fast as you could about everything the Guard had to offer, they would be just as pumped as you were, and then they would beg you to put them in the car right now and drive them to MEPS. Dump trucking. If you didn't do it, you did. You've seen new recruiters do it, and it is hard not to dump truck about something when you are so passionate about it. And as I was preparing my remarks for today, that's exactly where I found myself, doing the same thing. I want to tell you everything. I want to tell you every hard-earned lesson. I want to tell you the best advice I've ever received. I want to tell you what worked, and I want to tell you what didn't so I can save you some trouble. But first, Sergeant said I had about 5 minutes, and I have a little twang, but you heard him from Connecticut, so I can talk super fast if I need to. Either way, I'm going to leave here overthinking every moment of this and wishing that I had just told you that one more thing. So I had to narrow it down a few things. So here we go. I'm going to give you a couple of the lessons that stood out the most. As we go through our careers, we collect these little pieces of advice, right? These nuggets, these little things of wisdom, and we hoard them like chipmunks. We tuck them away and we carry them around. We stick them in our pockets and we carry them and then we pull them out when we need them. Nuggets for me, from Kim Hoffman: pip, pip, praise in public, punish in private. from Sergeant Major Savigny, wiggle your toes. This one is particularly important for when someone who probably outranks you says something that is less than brilliant, and you absolutely cannot let your loud face show what you're thinking about it. So you wiggle your toes, because otherwise you'll explode. From First Sergeant Whitaker, when in charge, take charge. For me, these are Hoffman, Savigny, Whitaker nuggets, and I've carried them with me for going on 25 years. I'm sure you have some of your own. As you take on these leadership roles, you don't just collect the nuggets anymore. You still will, but now you get to pass them down. You see a soldier struggling with something that you've already been through. You reach into your pocket, and you have the perfect nugget, and you hand it to them. And just like that, it becomes a you nugget. I'm going to try not to dump truck, but I want to share a few of my favorite nuggets. Nugget number 1, because we always have. A new post commander is appointed, and during an inspection, he sees 2 soldiers guarding a bench. He asks them, "Why are you guarding the bench?" He said, "Oh, the commander told us to." Curious, he tracked down the previous commander. "Oh, well, the guy before me had them guarding the bench, so I told him to do it too." Digging deeper, he found a 92-year-old retired general. "Sir, when you commanded this post 60 years ago, you had these soldiers guarding this bench. Can you tell me why?" General said, "What, is the paint still wet?" The nugget. Don't just do things because that's how we've always done it. I feel like recruiting is particularly stuck on sometimes. Question outdated processes. Problems change, and your solutions need to change too. Eliminate unnecessary requirements. Don't have meetings just to have meetings. You will have time for that when you are an E8 or above, I promise you. If you wouldn't have seen something valuable when you were sitting as a recruiter and now that you're in a leadership position, fix it. Do something about it. Ask yourself, is it really worth doing? If it doesn't make sense for the mission, don't do it anymore. A great idea can come from anywhere, regardless of rank, regardless of time in service, regardless of whatever. Those great ideas are out there. Do not be so dug in and stuck on how we've always done it that you miss those things. Number 2, know the why. When the Founding Fathers signed the Declaration of Independence, it wasn't before we'd won the war and we were safe, right? They were making a statement and committing treason. But they bet their lives on the inconceivable notion that a ragtag bunch of colonial army could defeat the greatest military fighting force the world had yet known. The British Army was well-trained, well-equipped, well-funded, well-led. What did the rebellious colonists have? It wasn't clothes, equipment, or food, or training. What they had was the belief in their mission. That belief, and a little bit of sheer will, overcame absolutely impossible odds. The nugget. Do not underestimate the power of morale, the belief in the mission, and the strength of your team to overcome the impossible. Speaking of morale, nugget number 3, make deposits. Make deposits in your relationship, make deposits in trust, make deposits in your team. Everybody has to work, but it doesn't have to suck. As a leader, you have more impact than you know on whether your soldiers look forward to coming to work or whether they dread it. In 2002, we deployed nearly the entire Connecticut National Guard. We had absolutely no idea what we were doing because there weren't any large-scale mobilizations before that. At the time, I was working for the Guard, but as a VA work study. I made $5.25 an hour, and I could get paid for a maximum of 25 hours a week. Despite that, I routinely worked 50 to 60 hours a week on top of going to school full-time. I was smoked. We all were. But my boss was awesome. One day, after a particularly stressful stretch, I walked into my office. There was a bouquet of flowers with a note that said, "I appreciate you." And I still have that note. You know what? I kept working, mostly for free, for nearly an entire year, because I loved working for her. I loved when she was in the office. I loved being around her, and I believed in what we were doing. The nugget. Make deposits in your relationships with your people at every chance. The most valuable currency is trust. Take care of your people, and they'll take care of you. And I know you've already heard that today. It's true. Err on the side of soldier care. Say yes. When you're in a leadership position, it is not about being able to say no. It is the privilege of being able to say yes. Yes, you can leave early for your kid's baseball game. Yes, you can take leave. Yes, we can get you into that school you want. People are going to make mistakes. Give them grace. And if you're lucky, they will do the same for you when you mess up. And you will mess up. Nugget number 4, consider the gap. As a musician, I know that the audience will remember the beginning and the end of anything that you throw at them. So this one for me is a Colonel Ast fan nugget, and it's a good one that you can use in leadership, but really in any relationship, and even in parenting. Putting this one last, because if there's something that you remember today, I want it to be this. As a leader, you are going to have expectations, and you are going to have soldiers who fall short of those expectations. The space between the two is the gap. What you choose to fill that gap with is on you, and it is everything. You have 2 options. You can fill it with suspicion, or you can fill it with trust. Soldier was supposed to meet you at 10. It's 10:30. They're not there. Do you assume they don't care, or they're lazy, or they're a turd? Or do you check in and make sure they're okay, and make sure that your expectations were clear? This becomes more complex with a recruiter not making mission. Are they not trying hard enough? Do they even care about keeping their jobs? Or do they need training? Are they missioned appropriately? Is something going on at home? The nugget. The way you fill the gap, suspicion or trust, is going to determine your next move. And it also is going to set the tone for your leadership interactions and for your entire team. Once you identify the real issue, then you can use your leadership, your experience, and maybe a few of those nuggets that you've been carrying around to help close that gap. In closing, the Guard has given me incredible opportunities and, even more importantly, an incredible network of people to share this experience with. If you weren't passionate about this mission and this organization, you wouldn't be here today getting ready to step into leadership roles. I am truly grateful to share this day with you. It has been an honor to come and meet you and talk with you and be with you today. And I look forward to seeing what you accomplish next. The recruiting world is not that big. We will see each other again. And I look forward to hearing about how the next leg of your Guard story is going. Thank you for having me today.
Sergeant Major Dickerson, thank you for all your time and the wisdom you've shared with us today.